Full screen. Grid. Should be live. Let me see. Let's see if we're live. This is... Oh, we're live. Okay, good. So we're just going to let people come in. I'm here with MemeAnalysis. Maybe, why don't... Well, people are coming in. Why don't you just kind of talk about your channel and what you do on your channel briefly?
All right. So, yeah, we'll get rid of all the people who are going to not going to enjoy the mechs. So I generally like to kind of apply psychology and philosophy to the internet, see what all this stuff means, because we're constantly making memes and sharing weird things, but it does all have a meaning. It's not meaningless. It's not just silly. It does, in fact, tell us a lot about ourselves, culture.
You always end with memes matter. Like, why exactly would you say? Why don't you elaborate more on the impact that memes can have on society and culture?
So that is my meme. Memes matter. That I end every video with that so that it sticks. A lot of people, and in general, we are prone to think that jokes mean nothing in the same way that we think a dream means nothing. But in the same way that you can interpret dreams, you can interpret memes, because both are expressions from our unconscious minds. And so when a meme is like a collective thing. So when one meme makes everybody laugh, that tells us something about all those people. So they're very important to see, like, what is the collective psyche doing at any given time? Why did they laugh at this? Why is this funny? Why is this lasting?
Hmm. And you approach it from like a Jungian perspective. I think there's Freud mixed in there as well. You're psychoanalyzing memes, is what you're doing. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And that is the way that I see it.
And how did
But
you?
I also think,
Oh, go on.
no, no, you go.
Yeah, how did you develop your approach to doing this?
So I had been analyzing dreams of my own and from my friends for a while, and but I'm also like a fan of Jung's stuff that is about culture rather than just about individuals. So I was never kind of like satisfied to just have it about me and people that I know. I kind of wanted to know what's going on for everybody. And I realized pretty early on, I think like I was 15, and I realized like, oh, these are actually a good way to tell what's up with culture. So I'd read a lot from like 14 on, and I guess I only started applying it a few years ago. I think I was 19. So,
Hmm. And like,
so
so
you
how did that turn into the channel that you have now, which is really interesting? Meme analysis on YouTube. I'm sure people in the comments have seen your content, or they can look it up. The link to your channel is in the description box of the stream. So, but you have a very interesting approach to this, because you're taking like shit tier, or like just kind of 4chan memes, or just pretty much shit that people would be like, this is the pits, and then you're actually analyzing it, and you're really going deep with it. And yeah, so how did you start? And yeah.
that's alchemy is. Alchemy is taking lead, taking shit, and turning it into gold, transmute it, and make it gold. And that's kind of what I try to do. And Freud often described the unconscious mind as a sewer. So you have to look at the shit posts to get psychic gold. To understand people, you have to look at the ugliest things.
Yeah. So when we talked, I think we came up with a few topics to go over. I think that there's enough people in the chat now that we can get into the topic. So let's talk about QAnon. And I really want to hear your take on QAnon because I'm someone who I'm interested in conspiracies, but I'm more so interested in conspiracy theorists, if that makes any sense. Um, and QAnon is something that it's been on my radar for a while, but I haven't really taken it too seriously until I noticed recently that there's this huge pushback against it, and a bunch of QAnon podcasts and channels and Facebook groups are just being purged. And I talked to my friend Jake Hanrahan, who I've talked to on this channel before, and I messaged him because I know he's been doing this series of podcasts about QAnon. And I'm like, dude, these are just boomers who are just like, they're LARPing and they think that God's going to save, Trump is God and he's going to save the world from pedophile elites and all this shit. And I'm like, what's the harm in that? Let them just believe stupid shit. And then he's like, you know what, man? I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, these people are just silly, whatever. But the more I look into it, and the more it seems like this is actually there's danger to this. When I start looking it up more, and then I realized like a year ago, the FBI released released some sort of risk assessment that where they came to the conclusion that yeah, the QAnon conspiracies could lead to domestic terrorism. And then I look at cases in which that's happened, or there was plots that weren't hatched properly, that were stopped before they could be done. So there are people consuming this information, and it's radicalizing them. And I really want to hear your perspective because you come from this perspective where you're just where you really talk about symbols a lot, and you talk about language and the power and memes. So yeah, give me your take on QAnon. Yeah.
So, are you familiar with like ARGs, augmented reality games?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And those are kind of like conspiracies. One of the first ones, I'm friends with the guy who created the medium of ARGs. The first is called Ong's Hat, and it actually took place in my home state of New Jersey, where he created a bunch of fake books, fake pamphlets, and passed them around places and put in book catalogs. People started reading them and believed that there were places in New Jersey that don't really exist, people that don't exist, and so on. It created an entire alternate world. People didn't know that it was fake; they thought it was real, and that this is really important because a lot of like New Age people, I like the occult, always talking about this idea, like, oh, create your own reality, create your own reality. That's what they're always preaching. They're witnessing the fulfillment of that ideal and the fulfillment of the ARG concept in QAnon. Like, never before was it so easy to kind of make a mass worldview through posting on 4chan.
Mm.
Like you don't even need real beliefs. Your beliefs are given to you by the post. You are given a message from God. This is the way that it was with Keck. He would speak through posts and through the number codes on the posts. So again, this is the fulfillment of that idea. It's making it more mundane to some extent, but it is still a religion. Now we, instead of having a divine God, we have an insider who is guiding us through a strange world. And one of the important points about that and about every kind of conspiracy is, I think the Matrix provides the best way to understand it. Because a lot of the people in conspiracy culture use the phrase as well, take the red pill.
Mm.
Neo takes the red pill, though. He actually wakes up in another world. Life is fundamentally altered. For us, the red pill can be a meme. It can be a post, it can be a video, but that wakes us up to the truth about reality, whether it is the Illuminati or the lizard people or, whatever. But the problem, and this is the real problem, is like what happens next, You've just taken the red pill. You've just woken up, You're one of the few awakened, woke few, the whole world is enslaved and you just realized you have chains. But then, what next? What do you do? And so QAnon is one of the few things that is actually moving now. You take that red pill. Now you have a culture. You have culture. You have identity. You have hope because you have a teleology. You know that there's an actual end game. There's a point to all the madness that goes on in the world. And that is the real comfort of religion, that all the suffering, all the meaninglessness, all the idiocy of the world will all be made right with this one end game as a point. And QAnon offers a point. It offers a meaning to life. And you see a lot of QAnon people lose their families because they get so involved in this belief. They sacrifice everything else. Because when it really does come down to it, nobody wants to be alive. Like, this is one of the fundamental religious ideas. People have a very hard time living in general. That might sound cynical or nihilistic, but the reason that cults do so well is that they give meaning to a life that feels meaningless. And so it's very dangerous. It's very powerful. It's magic. And it works. It works for them. They get meaning. They feel good.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like, so you're likening it to a religious experience, and I've heard of QAnon be referred to as a cult rather than just a conspiracy theory as well. And God, I really wonder if what happens, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm Canadian. I don't really give a shit that much about who wins the American election. But what happens in the case that God Emperor Trump loses? What happens? What happens to all of these people who've been mobilized by the shit that they've been reading online? Is there just going to be chaos? Is there going to be mass panics in the street? Are there going to be assassination attempts? I mean, it almost sounds like it kind of reminds me of like jihadis, like it's, I don't know. What do you think about that? What's your prediction?
You will do better if he doesn't win, because then they will be empowered. They'll be mobilized and energized even more, because now they have a real big threat. Whereas Donald is in control right now, the media is attacking him all the time. If he's out, they will again be even more of the underdog, so they'll be empowered even more. So I think if the Don loses, the next election will be Q triumphant. That will be when it is heard truly. If he wins, he doesn't do any of this shit. They'll bleed. They'll hemorrhage believers because he's not doing it. So I really think it would be smarter to not win.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. All right. No, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, dude. What would you say? Like, what would be? And I know you kind of touched on a lot of a lot of this with what you just said, but I think that there's a certain type, and we were talking about like MBTI before, and like Young. There's a certain type to people who are that conspiratorial and who could, and I don't think it's just stupidity. I don't think it's that at all. I think that there's some kind of extreme suspicion. You ever try and talk to someone who's just like so far gone where it's like, it doesn't matter what fact you present to them. It doesn't matter how convincing your argument and logically sound your argument sounds. They'll just be like, well, no, that's not true. I saw it on Facebook. Like it's so. What would Young say about that type? A person.
That's a great question, and it's not stupidity. It's a really big mistake. assume that it's stupidity. Most people do. Most people think, oh, they're just mad. It's not madness at all. In fact, it's really the opposite. Intelligence is pattern seeking. That is human intelligence. Animal intelligence, the ability to accurately perceive patterns that are really probably not there, but we produce the order of reality. Um, Societies are built upon agreed structures, agreed patterns. So Q is really an attempt at an alternate pattern. It's looking at the same phenomena. It sees different patterns at play. So it takes people who are relatively intelligent, or at least thinking. It's not necessarily blind support, because seeing is believing. They see the truth of Q. They actually see it. It's not like they put on blinders and don't look, which is what a lot of people claim. They're like, if they saw what Donald Trump was really doing, they would realize he's terrible. But they see exactly what he does. They are perceiving things differently. And so that is indicating, psychologically, I would imagine a good amount of them are probably intuitives, real serious theorists and believers. Of course, the majority in general is going to be censors, but the people who are like producing content and making connections and doing the real legwork, they are intuitives who put their unconscious into a perceptive mode affected by you. Just like I have a perceptive mode affected by Jung and Freud and Nietzsche and so on. Like, I just perceive according to those patterns and correlations. They perceive according to their own vision. And of course, mad people do that. But
Yeah.
it's their own private madness. They don't have any base. So I think that's another reason why the media is terrified, because they are built on a pattern. And I think it is a pattern that is very clearly being enervated. Like, we're reaching very strange new times, and they are simply going to become obsolete at a certain point. What's coming next will be terrifying to the old world. So Q, I think, is just a little vision of like what's to come. I think there'll be countless forms of Q, countless attempts at a new vision of society. That's just what I kind of see occurring, because people clearly want it. They want to see reality in a new, exciting way.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about one specific thing that you mentioned there that made me think. First of all, you talked about like the sensor intuitive split, right? But then there's also that concept of extroverted intuition. Um, would those be the types of people that you're talking about who are really like the pattern seekers, the ones who are like you were saying, the ones who are creating content are the ones who are doing the digging, and I mean arguably you could also just call them grifters, right? But there is something to like.
Yeah,
Do you think extroverted intuitives make the best conspiracy theorists in a way?
yeah, I am. I'm an extroverted intuitive.
Yeah.
So content is like very clearly that,
Yeah.
where I take my unconscious pattern recognition, share it with the world, like throw it out.
Hmm.
Whereas whereas the private Q person is taking it in. It's internalized. They're building this world within. It's very beautiful to them. It's a very powerful, just like religion.
That'd be more like an
And a lot.
introverted intuitive. Sorry, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
So the people who are making content, the grifter is most certainly an extroverted intuitive in general. Just not saying I'm a grifter, but that is simply the mechanism of grift.
Mm. Yeah. It's fascinating. Dude, I was watching some of these QAnon documentaries before this talk just to see what is the thing that red pilled people, like what was that moment? Because a lot of people they bring up fuck, I forget the name of the documentary, but there was this one that came out a while ago, and that's one of the ones that get recommended by QAnon people the most. And it's just literally, it's like baby's first red pill. It's like Operation Northwoods was a thing. You know, it's like the government lies to you sometimes. The media lies to you sometimes. It's like, but someone with no prior experience, and then someone impressionable enough, someone who had the worldview their whole life where they just think that, like, oh, America's perfect. And of course my government never lies to me. Of course, institutions never lie to me. Someone like that might watch that and just need those simple examples and then connect all of that shit together to be like, now I can never trust an institution again. Or I can never trust the media again. Oh, a scientific report? Who cares? That's fake news, you know? It's insane. It's, yeah, it's sad, too.
That's the case for religion as well. You know, it's very easy to convert somebody. You just need those few breadcrumbs, you know? Promise them something at the end of the path. Once they get a few, if you can get them to accept a few basic tenets, they will accept the entire pill. And it's a hard and bitter pill to swallow. It's very easy to start. So it is sweet, sweet as honey. It's bitter, bitter in your belly. So it starts out easy. It always starts out easy and fun. The end of it is bitter.
Have you ever gotten into any conspiracies yourself?
Absolutely. That was how I started out when I was a little boy. I remember watching YouTube videos that were conspiratorial, and I was terrified. I was so young, and I was like, wow, we're doomed. We're in big trouble. And then I was really into ancient aliens.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Think of conspiracy.
That's like when you were like 10, right? Yeah.
Conspiracies are super important because they, again, just like memes, they tell us a whole lot. Because there's a reason that people need to believe them. We need conspiracies. Some of my favorite authors are very much authors of conspiracy. William S. Burroughs, for example, that's one of the constant themes in his work. There are conspiracies actively at play. There's some good lines from Robert Anton Wilson, who's a magician and writer of conspiracy. He wrote a series called the Illuminatus trilogy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of
It was
that.
a big
Yeah.
influence on the New World Order cards.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's another really good. That's made a tweet recently about like the mistaking of cause for effect, where people think that wet roads cause rain.
Mm.
They can't. That rains make roads wet.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way it is. People who see New World Order cards are like, look at this happening. Look at this happening. It's like, yeah, because they are the guy, Steve Jackson, understood conspiracy culture and the patterns that happen within it.
Yeah.
Made like a pretty perfect map of conspiracies. That's why you're constantly seeing it reflected in conspiracies. Because that's like the tarot deck for a conspiracy theorist. It's like a tarot reader can see every card in reality. Conspiratorial individual will see every New World Order card reflected.
I see what you mean. Yeah. See, they just need that little thing to, yeah, embolden their thoughts on whatever they think is like the thing that's gonna eat their babies, or whatever conspiracy you want to talk about. What do you think about the wild fucking like crazy? Because there are some conspiracies that have legitimacy, right? There are institutions that lie. There are elites who are trafficking children. There are all of these things. This is undeniable. But then when you connect it all together, and then you start talking about crazy shit, like how far, like, what do you think about like the silly, really silly conspiracy theories? And the people who like will get into those things. Like, I'll just make one up right now. Like, someone who's like, yeah, the dinosaurs were actually giraffes. You know, like something like that. What do you think about something like that?
that's when it peaks. That's when it reaches its most religious. You know, people mock Scientology a lot. They say like, oh, they believe in Xenu. That's the end of the pill. Like,
Yeah.
you get to Xenu at the end of the ascension through the orders.
Well, that's after you even
So,
like signed the 1 million year contract, and like you put hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're at like yeah, you're at tier 7 or 8, right? And then you learn about Xenu.
and so that's the same for the conspiracy. People don't start out believing in lizard people. They don't. Unless you're a child. Unless you're like actually like dumb.
Mm.
But for the sensible person, progressively gets in is at the end when they reach that conclusion. That's the final step. That's when it's a religion entirely. There's no more correlation to something real. There have been memes that show this well from Bojiog, like sign. So like a portrait of a woman reflects the real woman. Picasso doing kind of surreal depictions of women, it no longer is in reflection to the real woman. Then things like anime are like parodies of parodies.
Mm.
So that's the point where like there is no relationship to reality. And you're at lizard people. So the initial basic conspiracy is that you know this is being affected by this group of people.
Mm.
And you say this group of people is evil. This group of people is not only evil, but they are lizards. That's like
It's like
it took
yeah,
a while.
it's gradual, it's
We made,
insidious. Oh.
and it feels good. It feels good to get there. Because just like if you are a true Scientological believer, that feels good to find out the creation myth. It makes sense of all this stuff. If you pay attention, if you're a good Scientologist, you know, like, all right, this kind of stuff is like, what's going on? I'm making my own connections, and then it's like, wow, all there. Because Hubbard was a really good writer.
Yeah.
He knew how to write Scientological, you know, the Bridge to Total Freedom. He knew how to write it well to keep people involved. You know, it's a mistake to again say it's stupid, it's ridiculous, it's crazy. That is a meaningless statement.
Mm.
Crazy means nothing, and that's why I'm very insulted. You know, when people talk about it that way. It's like you're just never going to understand, and one day you're going to be on the other end. You're going to believe in something insane. Because everybody's nihilistic now.
Yeah.
Nobody has anything to believe in because God is dead. So what do? One day when you're at your lowest, when you are desperate for meaning, you're going to find it. It's not going to be pretty.
I think that people also don't realize that they believe shit that's been sold to them. It could also depend on like their what political positions that they subscribe to. They'll believe insane, weird distortions of reality on both sides, and they could be fed that, and they'll eat it up. Just thinking about the extreme language that someone uses when they're on one side versus the other, and I'm trying to think of like an example. Maybe you can help me out here. I almost want to talk about like, oh, Trump killed. He killed killed people. Like almost like he's there and he's choking them to death. But the use of language, it's not totally honest in a way. And I'm not defending Trump here. Like he didn't do a great job, but a lot of people didn't do a great job with COVID. People in Canada, politicians in Canada didn't do a great job with COVID. But can we say they are the ones who like he killed them? It's on both sides, and it's rational people who will subscribe to it because it goes with their ideology.
I think is the really important point. People, and this is the favorite of conspiracy theorists, you can tell none of them have read it. They always talk about 1984. Talk about Brave New World, but it's very clear that they didn't grasp the meaning of those books. People are always talking about surveillance. They're always talking about surveillance, and they're always talking about censorship. Those are red herrings. Those don't matter. What matters is reality itself. Idea is that the party controls reality through language. You don't need to censor things. People don't have the language to even express an idea. We are at that point. Both sides. There are no sides. We have been, conditioned to experience reality through that pattern, which was set, a couple hundred, maybe like 300 years. What was it? Revolutionary France. I don't know. I don't remember how many years ago. It bears no relation to reality. Most powerful tool of the party is the ability to know that sometimes 2 plus 2 equals 5. Sometimes it really is. It's not about, when they're talking about the cameras, the telescreens in everybody's house, it doesn't even matter if they work. It doesn't matter if they're recording. Because the people feel watched. People feel oppressed. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if our computers are watching and we're being recorded. It matters that we feel that we are able to express anything beyond the very limited set of words and ideas. That's what keeps people, locked away. Like, I think they did research where, if you are a respected person, you're only allowed to have like one fringe idea. They'll still respect you. They'll let it slide. If you believe 2 crazy things, you're out. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm totally out. Like, I know most people who watch my stuff at some point, probably at multiple points, will be like, he is crazy. I can't watch this. That's just okay. I'm not trying to convince everybody. I'm just having fun. But, that's dangerous. Like, if you can't listen to something that's outside of your worldview, you're in big trouble.
You got to be open-minded. You got to be, yeah. I mean, I did experience that to a certain degree, and I think I told you, you have like cult leader vibes. Like, I hear you talking about magic and like witchcraft and occultism, but then you're also talking about really interesting. Like, I'm not saying that that's not interesting, but like there's like I can tell that you've put a lot of time and effort to come up with your worldview. Something when you were talking about that just occurred to me is what do you think about PR and its connection to memes? And would you call PR and memes? Would you say that they're all that different in being able to, deliver ideas and propaganda? PR is propaganda. I think that's I forget who said that, but anyway, yeah. Go on. I want to hear.
Great Adam Curtis documentary, The Century of the Self.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like Adam Curtis a lot.
That was life-changing for me because I had been reading Freud. When I think everybody has these points where you read something, and even if it's like, oh, this is really interesting, it doesn't really, not really like, okay, this is real. If you watch Century of the Self, it's going to be very clear. Like, you might not believe in psychoanalysis. The people who are selling you the world, they believe it.
They're using it. Yeah.
And that's why I've talked about it before, but like, only the poor people get cognitive therapy. Only the poor people get medication. Rich people go to psychoanalysts and use psychoanalysis to manipulate the masses. It sounds conspiratorial, but it is actually like...
Well, Bernays, the guy who pretty much came up with PR, he was what, Freud's nephew? Am I right in saying that? Like, he used Freud's literature and theories to birth PR.
That's what it's all about. It's about utilizing an understanding of the unconscious, and you speak directly to that irrational part of man. Then it's unassailable. You can't critique something that's irrational. I think that's kind of what we've been getting at this whole time. That you can't criticize the irrational. It's impossible. You can't consciously, logically do that. That's why psychoanalysis and magic are powerful, because they speak directly to the unconscious.
Mm. I want to play a thought experiment with you here. How would you implement the same ideas? What would you do? What kind of meme would you put out there? What kind of propaganda would you do? What kind of fake news would you do to convince a group of people about something specific? That's a straight up lie.
Give me something. Give me something, and I'll give you the path.
Um. Okay. Fuck. Okay. Let me think. Um. That cats are um actually the cause of cancer. Like if you have a cat around, that's going to give you cancer. That's why the cancer rates have risen. People have domesticated house cats. How would you put that idea out there and convince people that that's true?
That is so easy. You picked one that's too easy. Okay, 2 steps. So number one, you have to. So when you do that, you do PR. You have to think consciously. You have to understand what it is you're trying to sell, and then think what is unconsciously satisfying. We got two big things with cats cause cancer. Number one, big step, Egypt. Number two, toxoplasmosis.
Okay,
Egypt.
yeah.
In Egypt, where cats are worshipped and very prevalent, they are one of the very first big agricultural societies. So they have a longer lifespan. They live longer. They also get fatter because they're eating lots of carbs. And in general, because of that long lifespan, because of that relatively new way of eating and way of living, I'm willing to bet money cancer becomes far more prevalent in ancient Egypt. It's very easy to say that is not due to agriculture. Out the window, doesn't matter. That's cats.
Yeah.
Step two, toxoplasmosis. We know that cats actually do cause a disease.
Yeah, because they eat the
Like
mice and yeah.
the cat piss gets into people's minds. It gets into your brain and makes you mad. Which is why that's why there's the myth of the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
That's such a far from, like, not only do they make you mad, but they also are what's giving cancer. You just do a few bits of statistic nonsense and say the rate of people who have pets, especially cats, that get cancer is significantly higher. And then you're set, because you have myths about cats being plague bringers
Yeah.
due to that toxoplasmosis idea. So you take existing stepping stones.
And then you use
That's
that
the
to spin a conspiratorial narrative. By the way, people who might have just joined and are wondering what the fuck is this guy talking about, I asked him to do a thought experiment where he talks about how you can push the idea that cats cause cancer and have people believe that as like a legitimate conspiracy theory to some. So that's what we were just doing there. Yeah, man, you should get into PR.
method developed by Aldous Huxley, wrote Brave New World. He talks about, like, you need to start out with something that's like objectively true, something that everybody believes, and then build a bridge. You build a linguistic bridge to something that's total bullshit.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
So easy.
It
It's
is.
just string the bow. You have an arrow aimed at bullshit. The arrow is true, and the bow is true, and the path is kind of true. And then you land. It's like, I believe in absolute nonsense. I believe something that's total bullshit. It makes sense.
Yeah, man. I see the same kind of thing reflected not only in conspiracy theories, but in cults. Also, re education camps, the ability to make people believe crazy. Like, okay, so like the Chinese re education camps in the 50s, there's this guy, Robert Lifton. I don't know if you're familiar, Robert J. Lifton. He was one of the first people um, to go to China and interview people, Americans and Europeans who went through Chinese re-education camps, and he writes He writes about it in detail. I forget the exact name of his book right now, but if you look up Robert J. Lifton, it should be the first result. And yeah, like these people, doctors, academics, scientists, military personnel from Western countries that went through these Chinese re-education camps and were tortured into believing a certain thing. It's it's so powerful, but you see that in the re-education camps. You see it in cults. You see it in conspiracy theory. You see it in religion, politics. This kind of what ideas can do to the mind and how powerful it is. And there has to be some, like, I don't know if there's like a specific definition for the same phenomena that you see throughout all of these different things. I don't know. What do you think about that?
The only thing that I would mention that I think is really important is that it's not torture. Of course, torture has been used.
Well, in
The
the
best
Chinese
method
re-education camps, that's all I'm saying. Like, yeah,
now, you don't need torture. You don't need torture to make people believe madness. People want to believe nonsense more than they want hard truth. That's all I would say. Yeah. I think that's just psychology. The thing that is prevalent through it all is an ability to understand the mind.
fuck me, dude. Yeah. And you can't quantify any of this. That's the issue too. And
Yeah,
we've talked about this before. Like you talk about like scientism, and like people want to be like, this is objectively true. This is the only way like that things transpire, and it's proven by science. But really, there's a lot of yeah, like there are a lot of theories that hold a lot more weight than people give them credit for. I think. And I wonder how like you look at like mentalists and what they can do and how they can and I don't always think this is a trick, but they can like guess someone's phone number um, or there's a bunch of other tricks that they do, but yeah, and they're
that brings me really
utilizing these
fast.
things. But yeah, go on. What were you just gonna say?
Randonautica,
Pardon me.
app, Randonautica
I don't know what that is. What is that?
app, and
Oh,
it's
the
because
app
it,
Rando. Okay, yeah. All right, explain that. Explain that.
so
I'm gonna be right back. I saw the video. I'm just gonna be right back. So you explain that to the audience. Okay.
I've been very fortunate, um, good pals with the creator, and I've been doing it for a long time now. I've been doing it a year. It came out a year ago. Back when it was a Telegram bot, it was the Phantom bot. And so what you do is that you have this app and you give it your location and think about something. Give it an intention. You don't write it in, you just think about it. And when you have given this input, give location, say find an attractor. And so it then uses your coordinates to random number generator. It just generates points all around the map where there are clusters, significant clusters of points. Say that is anomalous. That's an anomaly. It's a significant lack of points or a significant cluster of points. You can go there. And really, there are some fantastic synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that occur at the location that this app brings you to. That is an example of like mind machine interface and mind machine interaction. So there's so much that, there's more to heaven and earth than your philosophies can dream of. I do think that we're heading toward science that really does interact with the interesting, powerful stuff that goes on with the mind. There's so much more than we know, and so much more than that we don't want to know. Lovecraft, we're unable to accept just how insignificant we are and how big, how much power there is in this world.
What's that one term that Lovecraft always uses to describe that feeling? of powerlessness when he's like confronted by this huge octopus or like monolith or like just huge like. There's one word in particular that he constantly uses. It doesn't matter. But... Wait, say that again.
Describable.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. What do you think about something like Neuralink?
Not bad. I don't know. I would never ever get it, and I
I
would
was
never
saying
suggest.
no. I think it's insane that anybody would even consider getting that. But explain to me
Even a
why.
word for link. Um, I'm very, very doubtful about all transhumanist theology. I'm a massive believer in the body and in the power of the body.
Hmm.
It's something that we deny so wholeheartedly. We hate our bodies. People despise having a body. They're unable to have sex. They are impotent. They are weak. They hate it. They hate having a body, and they feel disgusted. And they retreat into media. They retreat into the internet. They retreat into video games where they can, have a virtual body and experience great things that their bodies can't. Of course, these people want to give up their humanity, their bodies, for something that's better, that feels better. Um, so no, I think only in the case of like people who like lose an arm or whatever, maybe you can get like a robotic arm or whatever. But the mind, absolutely not. Never
Yeah.
ever sacrifice for humanity. That's what maybe that's old fashioned.
I, I
Maybe I'm
dude, I think that there's going to be a split of people, and then there's also going to be people who just realize, like, oh, you need this to stay competitive. I'm sure that, like, just like parents give their kids Adderall and whatnot now, they'll just be like, okay, well, here's Neuralink, and then you can do calculus in the first grade. Uh, I tweeted about it the other day, and I was like really disturbed by the idea that anybody would advocate for something like that or be excited by something like that. And then someone
it'll be like Futurama. They'll be burning in robot hell.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah. So this guy he replied and he said that God, what did he say? He said, "Imagine needing a firmware upgrade to remember the third grade." And it's why would you want to mess with your mind? Why would you like technology? Like even any technology that we have, we constantly need these upgrades, and like, why would you just think that this is gonna be like lifelong, or it's like somehow gonna continue to work, and there's not gonna be any repercussions to it? That's like what scares me the most about it.
You
But
ever watch
say that again.
From Beyond?
No, what is that? I don't think I've seen that.
Great. It's a great Lovecraft movie. A
Okay.
scientist is developing a machine, and it's a tuning fork. It resonates at such a frequency that part of your mind picks up. You start seeing other dimensions, and you
Mm.
see these monsters all around you. I do, and that is, I think, that is both kind of true, but also a metaphor for the unconscious. Like, if we take a population who is unable to even grapple with Freud, which is really scary. Freud is really terrifying. But like, if you can't even accept that, like that you have evil impulses and like that incest happens and that bad shit goes on, you're not fucking ready to get Neuralink. You're not ready to alter your mind. You are unable to accept basic principles of your own mind.
Mm. Why do you say that?
Imagine, there are people who bike, um, who start a hobby, and
Okay.
they'll spend like a couple $1,000s at the very beginning
Yeah.
before they even are able to do anything. Then they're going to find out, like, oh, gee, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. Just wasted all this money. Imagine if that was your brain. Imagine if that was your soul, and you got this big upgrade, and it's like, oh, I don't even know how to work the steering wheel.
Oh, so
And you know how
Freud, you need Freud for like training wheels to begin with.
you'll buy motorcycles and crash them 2 minutes later. They don't know how to ride motorcycles.
God, it's so funny. Anytime someone asks me about how do you start a YouTube channel, and oh, I'm gonna build a studio. That's what they'll tell me. I'm gonna buy lights and a studio and a set and a green screen. It's like, dude, fucking use like your cell phone. Like that's all you need. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if I get Neuralink, I'll be smarter. I'll understand things. I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to do things with it. Like, you're not even you're in big trouble. You
Mm.
ever watch Akira?
Yeah, yeah, long time ago.
Akira, good look at it as well. Like, Sua was
Yeah,
not ready. He was not ready. Um, that's what's going to happen, I think. If we start just manipulating the body and mind extensively, we're going to have horrors beyond our belief.
you're talking about like at the end of Akira when he becomes this huge gelatinous mass and he just keeps expanding and like absorbing people, or
Well,
well,
start drugging him. And in the beginning, he's like
oh yeah,
starting
he
to
starts.
go.
There's a whole bunch of body horror stuff throughout the whole movie. Now I'm remembering. I haven't seen it in like 7 years, 8 years, but yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. His body rejects it because he's not ready, I guess. Um, because he doesn't have Freud. What?
Yeah, he's still in the struggle with Kaneda. He
Mm.
still has that very basic childish inferiority complex, and that's what makes him a monster.
Have you ever thought about doing like movie reviews and psychoanalyzing movies like that on your channel? Because I don't think you
I
have.
would.
Have you?
No, I haven't. I do. I'm a big fan, and I used to make movies. I started out making movies and acting.
Mm.
So it would be something I do, but I'd probably make a separate channel. But it would be fun. I would like, but I need an editor. I don't like editing that much. But if I
Yeah.
had an editor, if anybody's watching and then wants to make a movie channel with me, I'll split the profits with you.
There you go. Yeah. Um. So what's next for you? What are you thinking? How's YouTube treating you? Do you see it as like a viable career path? What are you trying to accomplish on the platform? And what do you think it's going to be like going forward?
For me, I think YouTube is very much a stepping stone. I've gotten a lot of really great connections, and I made a lot of great friends just by putting my work out. Um, I really want to create. I want to make things that are beyond media. I want to make kind of life changing work. I really want to make great art, um, influence the world in a great way. And I sounds crazy, like
No,
that,
I
but
mean
that's the bit. I think
I legitimately agree with you. Like that's what I want to do as well. I want to yeah. I think that's any artist wants to do that. Any creative person wants to do that. So, go on
I
though.
think it's been. I think I've been able to do it to an extent. I think there are people who can watch my content and get like a lot out of it. Really, a lot out of ideas, psychoanalysis, and philosophy and the occult. I'm very thankful for that. I was just in Providence. I was just recognized.
Oh yeah, I saw you.
I was
Yeah,
just
tweet about that. That's wild. How'd that
crazy,
feel?
shocking. Like
Yeah,
it's not a big channel. Like I don't know, 71,000. But
to be
it's
recognized,
crazy.
it's surreal, right?
I there are definitely there's things that are unsaid. Like I would say I'm getting to the midpoint of the channel. I laid the groundwork. I'm at the midpoint now, and I think I'm nearing. I'm kind of getting more into my own personal mythology of the internet and what it all means. I think that's been doing pretty well. Like I think the figures, the symbols that I'm providing people to understand their experience are ringing true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I had a talk with Uberboyo, a Jungian channel, and the ideas that I spread there, people were very responsive to. I'm very happy that it's true for people.
So, you're gonna keep going, keep making videos. You're using Premiere Pro, right? So, like, I mean, you can get better at editing. Editing's not hard, man.
I edit movies. I edit films,
Yeah.
and it is. And when I do a video and it's just memes, there's nothing to do. I don't know. I'm not a big fan
You
of
just
editing some of the
Here's
videos.
what you
Other
do, dude.
ones I have fun.
You just make sure that the audio is fine, and then what you do is you just get like a background, and then you put the image, and then you put a drop shadow on it, and then you just make sure it scales a bit, like so it kind of there's a little bit of a zoom in, and then that's all you really need to do to make it look at least somewhat professional. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Um, yeah, you do you. You know, I like editing. I like trying to make as close to some sort of documentary as possible. Um, so that's what I try and do, I guess.
How
But
are your
yeah, we
fans?
wait.
Do
Say
you have
that.
do you have negative fans?
Do I have negative fans? Not really. No. Most of the people who watch my channel come from the algorithm, right? So I'm good at coming up with videos that like people want to click on. But yeah, a small percentage of the people who actually continue to watch everything I do are subscribers. You know, so but it's just like building, and like the more my name gets out there, and the more good work I put out, then eventually, I think then I would pass that threshold where it's like more so subs than random viewers, which is that's what it is mostly now. Yeah.
Like some very significantly negative people. Because I talk about things that are very sensitive. Um, like, I tackle like the concept of incels, the red pill,
Mm.
and when I it's like it's going for the hornet's nest, and but I know that I am doing it correctly because it's a viciousness, and it's not just a simple like, oh, lol, blue pill. Like, I get at their psyche because my critique and understanding of it is like accurate. It really does affect them, and so I've definitely amassed some very negative people because I'm critiquing some powerful cults on the internet, some very powerful beliefs that people use.
Mm. I guess I haven't. Yeah, I haven't gotten too political in my videos. I haven't really expressed that many opinions. Like I just talk about crazy, weird shit, and yeah. You were gonna make a point. Go on.
I just wanted to say, if I may, I'm going to be doing a series soon to do something kind of similar to you. I'm going to be doing real in-depth psychoanalyses of weird internet people.
Nice.
Like I would do Chris Chan,
Nice.
Ray Davis, like all these popular figures, but most people just think, oh, they're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to provide a way to understand how did they get this way? What is their unconscious like, and what does it mean?
Well, that's what I don't know if you're familiar with Gino Samuel, I think his name is. Yeah. So he has like a 50-part series about Chris Chan, but it's mostly just like going he just talks about it in like chronological details, and he just then this happened and this
Observation.
happened. Yeah. So I think that there's definitely that kind of psychoanalysis missing from even with like Frederick Knudson's work. It's not like he puts too many opinions, and I think that the both methods of making a video are legitimate, and neither is better than the other necessarily. So I'm not like making a value judgment whatsoever. But
Just
that is missing what you're saying you're gonna do, and I do look forward to that. So before we end, yeah, just what's your channel? What's your Twitter? Shout outs, do whatever you want. Yeah.
check out MemeAnalysis on YouTube. On Twitter, I am the God Disc. Okay. That's pretty much it. I don't know. Give a watch to some of the videos. See what you think.
Um,
Subscription. I think
yeah.
consistent content.
Again, a MemeAnalysis channel is in the description. There's a link for this stream, so go click on that. Yeah, God Disc on Twitter. What is the God Disc, by the way? I've been meaning to ask you that.
So it's to my earliest interest, which is like gods and aliens, and found that UFOs are images of God, just like we depict, um, Aten, the Egyptian god.
No.
He's a he's a solar disk. It's
Oh.
like a lot of these gods have discs above their heads.
Okay.
Angels and saints have discs, nimbuses.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
thought the historical disc was a symbol of divinity. That was the reason that we saw flying saucers. That was an expression of a religious desire. That idea really
That is
really affected.
that's a cool idea there. Yeah. Um. Yeah, dude, this has been fun. I enjoyed this. Yeah. Good luck with everything, and anybody in the comments have any quick questions to ask, perhaps? I'm gonna give it a minute, maybe, and then let's see. I don't see any questions yet.
I haven't. I'm just on the Discord. I haven't seen any of. Hello.
Someone asked, "Do you like turtles? What's your ethnic?"
I'm a big.
Oh, you're a big fan of turtles?
People are always trying to figure out what I am. They think I'm a Mongol, or they think I'm half Asian. Can't ever figure it out, and I'm never going to tell anybody. It's boring. So.
Because you're just white, right? Like you're just there you go.
I'm actually an alien. That's what.
Oh, there you go. Boom. Yeah, I believe that. I can almost believe that. Yeah. Let's see. Someone was, "Can I be your editor?" Talk to him on Twitter. Someone says, "Any hentai recommendations?" Like,
I do analysis of pornography and fetishism. So that's because, again, I've been talking about memes and dreams, but Freud found sexuality, of course, is one of the most important insights into the unconscious mind. That mostly happens on streams because weirdos come and tell me about shit and I analyze it. But keep your eyes open. There will be analyses of bizarre types. Stop watching it. Stop. I'm not, but not in a moralistic way, but just like, I don't know, try to get a girlfriend or something.
yeah, yeah. Porn is it's brain rot. It's yeah, it sucks. Anyway, dude, um, been fun. Really enjoyed this. And yeah, take care, man.
Thank you for having me on. Good to talk to you.
Good talking to you. Take care. See ya. All right, guys. I'm gonna end the stream here. Ah, shit. Fuck me. I just messed this up. Hold on. How do I now how do I show my face again? I have to open up the webcam. Give me a sec. I'm new to this streaming thing. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Media source, video capture device. Okay, I found it. Okay, sweet. I think I'm gonna just answer a few questions myself and give it like 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna head off as well. Yeah, I'm a boomer. I know. Thank you. Cool interview. Good show. Thank you. Leaving. Yeah, I have a super friendly face. Thank you. I have a baby face. That's what's going on here. Have a nice day and God bless. Okay. Favorite woman? Meryl Streep. I don't know, dude. Who's that chick from Blade Runner? The new one? Anna de Armas or whatever? She's so good looking. Like, that is like least favorite woman? Nancy Pelosi. No, Margaret Thatcher. You should do a collab with Glink. You guys, I know Glink. Glink is a really good friend of mine. Best movie of this year? There's not that many movies. Well, okay. When did Lighthouse come out? Was Lighthouse this year or last year? So the Lighthouse is probably the best. Do I know Adder? Yeah, I've seen that channel. I don't know him, but I've seen his channel. He does interesting stuff. Am I a racist alt-right? No, I'm not. That was a joke about Nancy Pelosi. Jeez. Relax there. Barely Sociable? Yeah, he's cool. I like him a lot. He's a friend of mine, too. Yeah. Years spent being in Canada my whole life. Or years spent being Canadian? Yeah, my whole life. Have I seen Utopia? The show? Like the BBC show? I think I do want to see that. I haven't seen it yet. You know what you're promoting? Dude, fuck off. Like, if you're that, like, if you lack political sophistication that much that you're like, oh, he made a joke about Nancy Pelosi, therefore he's alt-right. Get the fuck out of here. You're so dumb. Jeez. Like, what's wrong with you? Who do you think is going to win in 2020? I Canadian, but I hope Joe Biden, I guess. I think Trump is kind of dumb. So, you have an audience that's impressionable. Dude, shut up. What am I responsible for doing? What do I do? Okay, you're just annoying. I'm just going to ban you, man. Like, you're just annoying. God, how do I ban someone? I don't even... I'm just gonna hide this person. Okay. Was that person talking the whole stream? I don't know. Have I watched Zeitgeist? Yeah, like long time ago. I prefer Adam Curtis documentaries. Adam Curtis is great. Go watch Adam Curtis documentaries. Oh, yeah. It was the whole stream, people spewing verbal abuse at random people. Well, I guess that's YouTube. Any album recommendations? Shinsei Kamachi-chan. I can't even say the word, really. Let me bring it up for a sec. I like that album. That's what I've been listening to a lot recently. That's not an album. That's the name of the band, but Sumeni or something? Put this on real quick. Something nuts. I like Japanese music a lot. Japanese music is pretty interesting. Listen to it. How did I even find that? I don't remember. Way too loud? I'm just gonna turn it off. Alright, it's off. Oh yeah, Tatsuro Yamashita is great. Bunch of great. You know who else I like is Jun Tagawa is really great. Catboy Kami, I don't know who that is. Who is Catboy Kami? Nick Fuentes. Oh, this is the cat guy who apparently Nick Fuentes went on a date with or something. Yeah, I don't like that Nick Fuentes. I don't. Yeah, so I have a passing knowledge of him. That's about it. I heard that he went on a date with Nick Fuentes, the cat guy. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm really hungry. That was fun. Yeah. Nick Fuentes is literally a white nationalist. I'm pretty sure that that's just fact by this point, right? Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm really hungry. I'm gonna get lunch and take care.